Bungie, Destiny's RPG bits are mucking up my FPS experience, ultimately decreasing its replay value, which is the opposite of what all that grindy MMO-like stuff is there for. It's not even the source of the real problem, more like a giant bandage, wrapping the whole of the Destiny experience, mummifying, preserving its desiccated husk. The obvious problem are enemies that sponge bullets until finally succumbing to fatal lead poisoning. But really, the core of the problem are enemies that are so dumb they're already half dead. It kills the excitement, and it's immersion breaking. Now, I'm enjoying Destiny quite a bit. I wouldn't feel the need to talk about this if I wasn't, but the more I play, the more obvious the problem is. I would say that I'm not a fan of RPGs, but it's not the role-playing that I have an issue with, it's the wretched leveling systems. Want to go play the next mission but are under-leveled? It may be hard to impossible. Want to go back and play a previous mission again but are now over-leveled? It may be too easy. And in the very worst cases, it has very little to do with skill or different abilities, but rather just the difference in levels between the players and the enemies. What I look for in an FPS is a well-constructed challenge, something that's going to make me learn the particulars of that FPS. I'm going to try and beat it on the hardest difficulty available. Call of Duty has gotten easier over the years. Battlefield 3 and 4, not really a challenge. Homefront was okay. Destiny, well, Destiny is a moving target because of all this RPG stuff. But knowing Bungie from Halo 1 through 3, I expected them to put together something I would really enjoy. Especially given Halo 3's 4 different difficulty levels and a whole bunch of skulls, effect modifiers that would change the way the game and the enemies behaved, really let the player dial in the experience they wanted. In Destiny though, it seems like there's just a multiplier on how much damage you deal and receive based on the difference between the levels of the players and the enemies. Thing is, a single level makes a pretty big difference, and later on you're only given the option between a variety of even numbers. So dialing in the specific difficulty you want, good luck. The skulls, the effect modifiers, they're still around, but you don't get to choose them. Now, for example, this level 24 mission, comes with an automatic heroic skull. Enemies are more aggressive and there are more of them. If you say they're more aggressive, fine, I believe there are more of them though. But I'm over leveled 1 here, I'm level 25, the enemies are level 24, and I'm just kind of going through it like, well, whatever. The enemies are still really dumb, they still miss a lot. Of course, the entire point of Halo games, I mean, just like Doom, the player gets a hit scan weapon and can move around quickly while all the enemies stand kind of still and fire slow-moving projectiles. That's just the way it goes. It's a proven formula, but I think the enemies could be a little more accurate, could track you a little better. I would think that would be a skull, but I have no option to turn that on. There needs to be a very careful balance between how much damage the enemies can take, how much damage they do, and how many enemies there are, letting good players use cover and accuracy and all the different weapons they have in order to get through the enemies. But right now, it's really not working very well. I mean, here's a level 28 mission with the heroic modifier. I'm still level 25 here, 3 levels down. I'm gonna do so little damage, it kind of gets ridiculous, but the enemies are so passive, they just sit there and let me pick them off. If they all just rushed me, there would be absolutely nothing I could do. There would be no amount of evading, jumping, strafing, hiding, using my regenerating health while they don't have regenerating health, except for the enemies with the over shields. Those come back, those are really annoying. No, but it took me 10 minutes, but I finally wore them all down, got to the boss, and had just enough ammo left in order to finish him. So I continued on with the mission. These are the Cabal I'm fighting. They're a lot like the Jackals from Halo. A lot of them have shields. Once they get them set up, you're basically left with only a few options. You can throw a grenade behind them, except the Cabal, in this case they have lots of health, so that's not going to kill them outright. You can try and flank around them or go over. Maybe you'll get around the shield like that, or you can shoot them in the arm, they'll drop the shield, and you can shoot them in the face. That's my preferred method of dealing with them. So I slog along with the mission until I get to a point where a dropship comes in and drops a bunch more shield guys, except instead of the normal red health bar enemies, they're the special yellow health bar enemies, and my gun no longer does enough damage shooting them in the arm to make them flinch to drop the shield, at which point I said I don't think I want to deal with this anymore. Now, I'm using a legendary hand cannon here. If I wanted any more damage, I'd have to switch over to a sniper rifle with much more limited special ammo. Now, maybe that change is intentional, but it makes for a massive spike in difficulty. I applaud anybody who can manage to get through it like that, because it's just crazy. But that massive spike in difficulty makes me think this was not a particularly well thought out challenge. Bungie did not intend for people to be playing these along solo 3 levels underleveled. So it's off to another mission, and this time level 26, I'm 1 level down, and again the heroic modifier is on. This is better, I'd say. The boss enemies are bullet spongy, but if you're going to make the bosses bullet spongy, well then that's just how bosses are. So I'm left playing typically 1 to 2 levels down and getting an okay experience. Not quite the challenge I want, but not something just goofy and poorly designed. I do less damage to the enemies, they seem to do more damage to me, and the AI seems to be stuck somewhere around normal, maybe heroic. I'm really looking for a mythic, Bungie. Come on, where is it? It's at this point I should talk about co-op. This is, after all, intended as a multiplayer game. I get the distinct impression that enemies' health scales with the number of teammates you have. If you have a full fire team of 3 people, the enemy's health scales up a bit, and they become even more bullet spongy. It's just how they decided to increase the difficulty when you have a larger fire team. Playing solo actually seems to be the better experience, or at least in terms of gameplay. Playing with one other person still is okay, but with 2 teammates, a full fire team, well, if you're playing levels down where you've got the damage reduction going on, it can be a little silly, especially against enemies that don't have any critical points. The other issue with playing with friends is that you're often different levels, and the difference of 1 level, as I noted earlier, is pretty significant. So if you've got teammates spread over 2, 3, 4 levels, well, somebody's going to be dramatically over-leveled because you can't bring a guy in who's more than 3 levels down. It won't let you, and even 3 levels down, it just gets 1 hit by all sorts of stuff, and that's not fun. So playing with friends, we usually just roll through things pretty easily. It's a nice casual experience, it's fun, but it's not the challenge that I really look for in my really good FPS games. And so this is why I say, Bungie, your RPG bits are mucking up my FPS experience, both just for myself playing solo and when I'm playing with my friends. At this point, some viewers are probably typing up comments about how I should be doing raids with my friends, and yeah, I think raids sound like a pretty good idea. However, not all my friends have had the time to put in this game to be to the point where they could actually do the raids. I mean, there's a level requirement, really, and if you go in too low, again, it's just being under-leveled too far, not a good thing in this game. But at the same time, I'm going to need to level up myself some more, and that's going to mean material farming, which, as best I can tell, is most effectively done by running around in the explorable world, killing stuff that you're far over-leveled for, and finding the resource nodes and collecting from them and then running around some more. Really not very fun. I'm not here for farming, I'm not here for the loot, I'm here for the challenge. And making me do a bunch of work before I can get to that, that's not a good thing. And to say nothing about what the endgame economy is going to look like when everybody has everything they're after. I have no idea what Bungie is going to do for a resource sink. Even though you can't trade stuff between characters, I don't know where they're going with it. After having the game for just over a week, right now, I think I'm going to get 2 to 4 months of a lot of fun out of this. It's going to be worth it, but then I'm just going to realize, wait a second, I'm not having fun with this anymore, I'm going to put it away, and I'm probably not going to pick it back up. I doubt I'll be alone. The people who are still around, in fact, will probably be playing the endgame content, and that will leave the starting and, well, everything that's not endgame content just empty. What reason did Bungie give reviewers for not giving them copies early? They thought all the playlist wouldn't be populated. But wait a second, if a couple months in, everyone who's still around is going to be playing endgame content, won't that mean that anybody new joining won't have anyone to play with? Well, at least the game is enjoyable playing solo. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.